What is going on, everybody? It is your boy AK Man12 here, coming to you guys with some more Battlefield 4 footage for you guys today. Today I'm going to show you guys my personal favorite class setups and what I use for my personal layouts and pretty much what I always stick with. Now, I should warn you guys, my loadouts change a lot just because of the fact that I have service stars with some of the best weapons in the game. I have a lot of them, and sometimes I like to switch it up and just get myself some XP and use other guns. So, occasionally they will change out a lot, but as far as me going like try hard and whatnot, going against tryhards and professional players, I'll show you guys my loadouts for what I use for those type of situations. So we're gonna go to loadout, and occasionally I'm actually using the FAMAS right now, but majority of the times you guys will see me use the M416. M416 is a very versatile weapon. It's an all-around great weapon. Rate of fire is not insanely quick, but it is fast enough to take down your enemy in roughly 3 to 4 shots, 5 shots down range. But this loadout's really good, and I'll show you guys the attachments that I use. Your Coyote red dot sight is probably the best sight in the game. It's a Chinese red dot sight, potentially one of the best sights in the game in my opinion. And the space that you have to shoot your enemy has a nice little red dot to it, and it's just absolutely perfect. If you want, you can use something like the Cobra. I don't recommend the regular default red dot sight. It's not that good in my opinion. I don't recommend any of these scopes at all. Just stick with either the Coyote or Cobra. Those are the two best. But if you want to go crazy, go ahead and use the Hollow or the HT33. I don't really use these either. Accessories, you're going to use a green laser sight. It doesn't matter which laser sight you're using. I do not recommend using flashlight because that thing, it gives away your position. Magnifier is another good option too. Canted iron sights are kind of useless. Magnifier is pretty good because sometimes you can help take down those long range targets if you're playing like a long range map, Rush or Conquest or anything like that. Laser light combo, I don't recommend using this because you cannot turn it off. Like I said, I use the laser sight just because of the fact it has that nice hip fire spread, and also I have the ability to turn it off as well. Barrel, I don't recommend changing your barrel or changing the way your barrel operates. What I mean by this is using the compensator or muzzle brake. Muzzle brake doesn't really do anything in this game. It says it reduces the muzzle climb, basically how your gun kicks up. I don't recommend using that at all. Neither do I recommend compensator. It has good accuracy already, so don't ruin it. Heavy barrel, you can use a heavy barrel if you really want to. It doesn't really increase the recoil that much. It's a little bit noticeable, but not enough to really make it not a viable weapon. Suppressors are a good option. These are all the same. These all do the same thing, so don't worry about picking a suppressor. I stick with flash hider just because when I'm shooting an enemy, occasionally I like to keep my stealth. Now I know I'm not using a silencer, so that doesn't maintain my stealth. But occasionally, if they're in a dark corner or something, or I'm in a dark spot, it's hard for the enemy to see me, and that muzzle flash will not give away my position. Your underbarrel, you're going to want to stick with folding grip. Folding grip is probably the best one. It reduces your I'm trying to remember what it reduces the first shot recoil basically by like 33%. Potato grip is kind of useless because this gun has good enough accuracy already. Angle grip is the same thing as folding grip pretty much. Well, slightly different, but they're almost the same thing. Don't use a bipod. Ergo grip is a good starting point if you don't have battle packs for this gun. Vertical grip is kind of useless, so don't really use that. Paint, pick whatever you pick whatever you want to use. So we're gonna stick with that. We're gonna move on to the engineer class. Majority of the times I will use the AKU-12 or the what's that gun called? Where is it? Trying to figure out where it is. AK-5C. The attachments for both these guns will always be the same. So I will show you guys primarily what attachments I will use for this gun. Now, I will always use green laser sight. I will either use the muzzle brake or the flash hider. Now, the reason why I'm using muzzle brake is because I do not have flash hider for this gun yet. If I'm using I'm using the AK-5C, I will always use flash hider just because I always want to stay out of the enemy's sight when it comes to the enemy looking at me. I don't want them to see my gun blazing all over the place. So flash hider is something I always stick with. Underbarrel, stubby grip, or folding grip. I recommend stubby grip for this gun just because of the fact that it increases that accuracy a lot more. When I'm using engineer, I'm playing those big wide open maps, so that extra boost of accuracy really helps out a lot. You can also use folding grip as well, but I don't really use that. Moving on, we're going to use the support class. This class is my back raging baby. What I mean back raging baby, I mean getting behind the enemy, getting those insane feeds. You are going to want to use the MG4, ladies and gentlemen. MG4 is the best LMG in this game. Now, I used to use the AWS, which was another good weapon because of the rate of fire, but at the time, I was not familiar with the MG4, and I was just using nothing but the AWS just because of that high rate of fire. But the MG4, oh man, it's way better than the AWS if you haven't used it. It has 200 bullets in a mag, and the accuracy, if you're tap firing, of course, is absolutely insane. This thing's pretty much a laser. So we're going to go with attachments. Like I said, I always use the Coyote sight as my favorite sight. Occasionally, I do use the Hollow sight. Cobra sight is another good option as well. So pretty much stick with either Coyote, Cobra, or Hollow sight. Those are the three best sights that you're going to want to stick with. Accessories, obviously, I always go with green laser sight. Give myself that boost of accuracy when I'm hip firing, and also ability to turn it off whenever I'm in close quarters, just to not give away my position. Barrel, flash hider. Do not use muzzle brake on LMGs. I don't recommend it as well. If you're tap firing, assuming that you're tap firing, you don't need a muzzle brake at all, nor do you need a compensator. I don't recommend heavy barrel as well. Like I said, good enough accuracy already. Don't butcher it even more. Suppressors, I do occasionally use suppressors when I want to get some stealthy back rages. Like I said, all these suppressors do the same thing, so don't worry about picking one. Just pick whatever one looks nicer in your opinion. Flash hider is pretty much what I stick with all the time, so I do recommend flash hider or a suppressor. You know, stick with any of those. Your underbarrel, you're going to want to stick with potato grip. Potato grip or potentially a stubby grip. These will both increase your accuracy when you're shooting, just constantly shooting and you're not tap firing. Occasionally, I forget to tap fire. You know, this potato grip helps compensate for that. It pretty much does the same thing as a stubby grip. So, you know, just pick whichever. I just prefer potato grip just because it comes in a battle pack and it looks really cool in my opinion. So, that is my support class. Like I said, I will stick with pretty much all these loadouts. Oh, and the kits, I forgot to explain what I use with them. Secondary, I always got to use the Wandig on all of my classes. Medic bag and defibs, these pretty much never change. V40 mini, I'm actually going to change that to an M26 Frags just because of the what's it called? The nerf that they put on these things. The BJ2 knife doesn't really matter. Just choose whatever you want. Offensive perk for my medic kit. I got the anti-tank for this one. Bayonet, M26 Frag, and MK153 small. This gun is, or should I say rocket, is insanely good for taking out moving vehicles. I use it a lot. You guys will see it in my cliptage a lot. I use this thing a lot. Repair tool. By the way, the MK153 small has 0 drop on it, so it's pretty much a laser, but the only penalty it has to it is its damage. That's the only difference it has to it. Repair tool always, and for my support kit, ammo box of course. XM25 Airburst for getting those little scrubs out of the C-Flag Tower in Operation Locker. If I'm playing a big wide open map like Rush or something like that, or Conquest on Golmud Railway, I may swap this out for some C4 just to take out some tanks or blow some walls, stuff like that. We got the defensive perk as well. Like I said, I don't need offensive because that gives you more ammo, and obviously this is a support kit, so I don't need it. Moving on to the recon class, I'll use the SRR61 if I'm sniping people. I don't really snipe in Conquest that much. I only really snipe in game modes like Rush or Obliteration. Kind of like those small type game modes like that. Just because I'm not very good at long range sniping, I'll leave that to Scorpius to do all the long range sniping for me. If I'm playing Locker sometimes, I may swap out this recon class for like a DMR. Usually the only DMR that I use is the, SKS. So pretty much this class will always be SKS, the ACWR, or the SRR61. So like I said, attachments, it doesn't really matter for attachments on a sniper. Well, I guess it does. I stick with the regular 8x scope. Canted iron sights, sometimes I'm going to swap this out. Flash hider, pretty useful as well. Obviously, you don't need a muzzle brake because it's not a rapid fire weapon or anything like that. Radio beacon for helping your teammates spawn in. C4 explosive for taking out vehicles if you get in a sticky situation. Argo impact, and the offensive kit. Pretty useful, especially when you're playing as a recon or a aggressive recon or something like that. But regardless, I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Let me know if these class setups helped you out. Like I said, these class setups generally never change at all, or they change a lot, should I say. But if I'm playing like tryhards and I just want to sweat my life out, these classes pretty much never change. Occasionally, I'll swap this out for a Scar H if I really want to try my life out even more. But tomorrow, I'll show you guys my setups for main battle tanks, you know, pretty much vehicles and everything that I use for that. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It is your boy AK, signing out.